One day, Andrew sat in a very expensive chair and hoped it would make a scandal behave. The chair looked polite. The chair was not polite. It was a tiny throne-shaped trapdoor with studio lights, soft upholstery, and the confidence of a furniture item that had already read the questions. Before the chair, Andrew had been feeling very protected. He lived in the kind of room where even the curtains looked employed. There were medals, polished doors, old portraits, and the warm glow of being almost impossible to interrupt. In his little royal storybook, every awkward subject could be wrapped in velvet and placed on a high shelf. Then the shelf began making noises. The problem was Jeffrey Epstein. Epstein was not a silly footnote in a dusty guest book. He was a convicted sex offender, tied to court records, victims' accounts, and elite connections. Andrew's friendship with Epstein had already been publicly criticized. Andrew later said he regretted the association. Regret, sadly, is a small umbrella to open after the roof has left. Then came Virginia Giuffre's allegations. She alleged Andrew sexually abused her when she was underage. Andrew has denied those claims. That sentence must stay careful. Alleged, denied, not proven in a criminal trial. In the Clay version, the allegation is not a character to exploit. It is a sealed folder under a desk lamp, serious enough that the jokes step around it and aim at the powerful man trying to explain himself. The public still had a simple bedtime question. Why was a prince anywhere near this particular disaster? So Andrew tried a royal magic trick. He sat down for BBC Newsnight in 2019. The goal was to make the story smaller. Instead, the chair became the main character. The carpet grew teeth, and the studio lights politely turned into tiny interrogation moons. He talked about memories, timelines, Epstein, and explanations. He disputed Giuffre's account. He said he could not have been at a certain place because he had taken his daughter to Pizza Express in Woking. That detail was meant to be helpful. Instead, it walked into the public imagination wearing a paper crown and carrying a receipt. A serious interview sometimes has one small object that escapes the room and becomes immortal. In this one, the pizza box became that object. It was not the darkest part of the story, and the script must never pretend it was. But as a public relations moment, it was astonishing. A royal explanation had somehow handed the internet a location, a dinner detail, and a tiny cardboard prop with unlimited shelf life. Then came another explanation that made the room blink. Andrew discussed whether he could sweat and why certain memories did or did not fit. Again, the fact-safe point is not to turn medical details into a circus. The point is that the interview was supposed to restore authority, and instead, it made every tiny detail sound like it had wandered in from a badly rehearsed school play. The interview kept trying to become a rescue boat. It became a display cabinet. Viewers did not see a scandal disappearing. They saw a very polished puppet explaining himself into a smaller box. Every answer made the room feel less royal and more like a dollhouse with a leak. The microphone did not shout. It simply sat there, absorbing the oxygen. Then the outside world began stepping backward. Sponsors, charities, universities, and royal watchers looked at the interview chair and decided they had urgent errands elsewhere. The palace curtains, usually excellent at pretending, looked tired. Within days, Andrew said he would step back from public duties. He said the controversy around his former association with Epstein had become a major disruption. That was the official sentence. The Clay version was simpler. The toy crown had started squeaking. That is how status collapses in a polite institution. Not always with one dramatic bang. Sometimes with small exits. A plaque removed here. A patronage reconsidered there. A camera crew outside the gate. A spokesperson using language so careful it arrives wearing oven mitts. The institution does not say, "Our furniture has betrayed us." It says the matter is being handled. Meanwhile, in Clay World, the furniture is absolutely betraying everyone. The story still did not end. Giuffre later filed a civil lawsuit in the United States. In 2022, the case ended with a settlement. There was no admission of liability. Andrew expressed regret for his association with Epstein. The legal file closed, but the little television clip kept breathing. Some stories do not end when the paperwork gets sleepy. They return as headlines, dramatizations, memes, jokes, and awkward reminders hiding behind the sofa. Andrew continued to deny accusations against him. That remains part of the record. But denial is not the same as restoring the old dollhouse. Public image is a strange little machine. Once the gears swallow a pizza box, a chair, a stack of explanations, and a microphone sprouting from the carpet like a judgmental flower, the machine does not simply return them polished. The internet understood this immediately, because the internet is basically a courtroom made of snack crumbs. It took the interview, clipped it, captioned it, replayed it, and turned the furniture into folklore. The careful palace room became a stage set. The stage set became a meme shelf. The meme shelf became a permanent little museum where every explanation had to stand beside the thing it was trying to explain away. Then came the later royal consequence. In 2025, King Charles formally removed Andrew's Prince title and HRH style. He would be known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. The palace machine did not shout. It stamped a paper, moved a title card, and closed a tiny curtain. No thunder, no dragon. Just bureaucracy in soft shoes, quietly taking the little gold letters off the door. By then, the old image had become a miniature set. There was the chair that was supposed to hold him up. There was the pizza box that became a prop nobody ordered. There were legal folders that had to be treated carefully. There was a palace curtain trying to close without making eye contact. And there was Andrew, smaller than the room he thought would protect him. This is why the fable is not about being clever in an interview. It is about mistaking access for safety. Andrew seemed to believe that old rooms, old titles, and old habits could soften the questions. But scrutiny is not a guest who leaves because the silverware is nice. Scrutiny sits down, opens a notebook, and asks why the trapdoor has a royal cushion on top of it. That is the little fable. This was not a story about one clever prince outsmarting the room. It was about a man so protected by status that he mistook scrutiny for furniture. He thought the interview chair was there to support him. Unfortunately, chairs in fairy tales sometimes have trapdoors. If your explanation depends on everyone admiring the wallpaper, do not invite cameras inside. And if you bring a velvet cushion to a paper shredder, do not be surprised when the cushion learns consequences.